everybody. Happy Monday. This is Overpass Live. My name is Eric. I make apps. This is the weekly live stream where we talk about whatever we want to talk about. And the only thing I can think about to talk about today is WWDC, which starts up in about an hour time. So I wanted to have this I wanted to have this live stream a bit early tonight so that I could go watch the live stream, and then I have a meeting at 7. So it's gonna be a bit busy. So I might move this live stream up to 5 p.m. just going forward, because it's so much stuff comes up. Like, it seems to be later on Monday nights and everything like that. So welcome to the live stream. I really appreciate you guys being here. Busy week for me. Actually, not so busy because I was in Portugal. I was in Portugal last week, and which was awesome, right? It was in the green zone in the UK. First of all, can you guys hear me okay? So it was awesome last week just to be there and everything. And it was strange because I was on the plane that morning, on Thursday morning, and there was a new BBC top news story was they were thinking about removing Portugal from the green list. And then a few hours after I landed, they had removed it, and all these people are panicking to get back. But it was, I was glad I went. Lots of testing though, lots and lots of testing and paying for extra tests and stuff like that. But I feel refreshed. I feel good. Like this week, it's been fun doing the traveling. I've done so much in the last 2 days. It feels like, or over the weekend, I guess, that it feels like I've just been like, it doesn't feel like I had the time off. I've just been frantically doing some stuff with some Firebase and stuff like that. So, I'm doing Firebase. I'm trying to do a scheduled Firebase task, something that sends something out through Firebase, that sends something on a cron job or whatever, a scheduled thing to users, like on a regular basis, like once every day. And it's really difficult to test because, like, it's fine if I have like 2 users and I can test it that way on the dev, but like putting that thing live, if you guys have ever done that, you got that, you got that small test group, everything works fine, and then you put it live, and then it's just like, okay, please let there be nothing I haven't anticipated go wrong here. So anyway, it's all going pretty well. Thanks to everybody showing up today. Let's see who's here. We got Billy. Oh, stuff from last week. Billy's here. Hey, what's up? Hey, you know what? I was thinking last week in the live stream from Portugal, I was on my MacBook Air, and somebody said the audio was better than this. So I've been thinking about that, and it's been on my mind this week. So let's see. At 404 says neuralgorithmic. Cool. Are you the same? You're the same person, right? Darshana Manoj. Hey, Eric. Hey, Darshana. How's it going? At 404. What's up? How's it going, Eric? It's going really, really good. What's your Admob's earning? Let's see. What's your Admob earning last monthly? I gotta have a look at it. Can't wait for M2 Mac. Is there already? That's not what they're gonna announce today, is it? We only just got the M1. I can show you my daily revenue report, actually, going back to the Admob. I'll show it to you here in a minute. We got Kevin. Kevin's here. Hey, Kevin, how's it going? Patrick, here we thanks very much. Theo says, it's WWDC Monday. I know. Okay, so we had the announcement a few months ago where they announced like the new Mac and stuff like that, the hardware stuff. So this is like our thing, the WWDC. This is where they're probably gonna announce iOS 15 and the beta will come out. And I don't know about you guys, but like, do you guys like? I've never been very big on downloading the betas of stuff, but I think I'm gonna have to start doing it because I think iOS 14, I had a few issues here and there on certain projects, so I think I just need to get into the habit of, paying attention to those beta builds and bring those in. It just feels a bit, it's just when you get to the betas and you get to the, you change, if you have to change anything, it's possible it could change back and everything like that. So. But it's always good to know if there's going to be any issues or not. But yeah, so that's probably what they'll announce today. I don't know what else they'll announce. Hopefully it's something good, right? The Google I/O this year was just kind of dull. Like there was nothing really new from Google I/O. So let's see. Ronald John, what's on your wish list for WWDC? It's a good question. I would like. I think I like permissions to be easier. I think that's like permissions are always really hard on iOS. Just to be able to like, there's like when you come to like location permission, right? You can say you have always on permission, but you can't ask for always on permission to begin with. You can ask for allow while in use, and then later on you can say allow always on, that kind of stuff. So that's kind of weird the way that works. I kind of get why. I mean, I get the security reasons for it, but it's like a strange way that they do it. Like it's like, because you can't just, like, you should be able to ask them from the beginning saying, hey, this app needs it to be always on for whatever reason. It could be, you know, they still have to approve it, but like that kind of stuff would be useful, right? Let's see, what else? I can't think of anything really, really good. I mean, whenever I try to think of something like as a wish list, I start going into the Star Trek fantasy. Like, you know, I want to be able to tell what the temperature is in the room, or something like that, just to see, you know, that kind of stuff. But let's see. Daniel Prince, first time on the live stream. Thanks, Daniel. Hey, welcome. I hope it doesn't suck. All right, everybody, be on your best behavior. Let's make sure this one's a good one. Let's see. Some people predict no new hardware this WWDC. I know. I was reading some predictions, and some people were predicting like 14-inch MacBook Pro. It was all like really ho-hum kind of stuff. You know, remember when they were like predicting the iPad? Remember when they were predicting the pencil? They're like that kind of stuff. And I'm wondering if there's going to be anything like, as a developer, you start to, like, your brain starts going, okay, that becomes like an ingredient in my or whatever ingredient. It becomes like a tool in my toolbox. Like, you know, that's something that we could do. I think was it last year where they started talking about the app? God, what is it called? You know, where you could just tap something and I can't remember what they're called. Yeah, so you don't have to fully install the application, everything like that, and it's kind of the same as the I don't, but that was like something I was excited about last year. Did absolutely nothing with it. But let's see. So Aiden Mack is here. Hey, Aiden, how's it going? Let's see. Theo says downloading the betas really help. Yeah, but you know, it's like, it depends on how many test devices you have. I guess when you have the simulators, you know, it's easy just to use the betas, right? Getting the betas, running it in the simulator, making sure everything works. But like, you know, I've got my daily iPhone, I've got a couple test iPhones, and it's like whatever. Like, I have iPhones that are on older versions of iOS just so I could test older versions, and it gets difficult when you're actually doing hardware stuff. Like, I don't want to upgrade something to a beta and then sacrifice something else, and I'm not like, you know, I'm not in a position to go get like another device just to install a beta on. But let's see. Theo says I have an app that crashes on Android 12, and I'm glad I got it fixed before the client had an issue. After 12 goes into production. App clips, yes, app clips are what I'm thinking of, and Android Instant Apps. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. So last year, app clips was a thing where I thought that could be really cool, and you know, but especially considering everything. I mean, God, I was watching Mock the Week, which is a show in the UK, and they were talking about, it's like it's a recent one, and they were talking about how they're just sick of all the apps, right? There's too many apps, right? Every place you go, you have to, like, every time you go to the pub, you have to download an app. And I'm the same. I've got like loads of apps. Like, I never would have thought I would get apps for like a restaurant or a pub that I go to maybe once. And they were able to do it. But you know, and then the barcode thing. And when we talk about barcode scanners here, like with I don't know who it was, but they were trying to, like, you know, have a look at my barcode scanner app, and I'm thinking, dude, barcode scanners are in the operating system, but before people didn't necessarily know that, but now everybody knows that. So. But no, I agree with that. I mean, yeah, I'm going to have to do that. Now that you got me scared about Android 12. All right, okay. Let's see, I'm going to have to do that. When is Android 12? When's the release date for that? I've gotten really bad. Android used to be my primary device, and now mostly, you know, iOS. And thanks, everybody, for the thumbs up. Rachel, hey, Rachel, how's it going? Says, hi, Eric. How do you update the version number of a Flutter app for the Google Play Store? Which files do you need to alter? You need to alter the package.json file. So it's under, let me see if I can find a project. Can I find a project where I can do that? Because if you try to do it in a build.gradle file, it'll get overwritten. I'm sure you found that. So it's actually at the top of the pubspec.yaml file. I did, so I said, I didn't say package.json, did I? I meant pubspec.yaml. It's at the top of that one. So let me see if let me find a project here. This is one that I've actually gotten permission to talk about. So let me just bring this one up. Let's see. I'll share my screen here in a second. But yeah, it's like right there. It's really hard to find out because it's like that plus. Let's see. So over here, let me share my screen. Actually, this is a bit. Let's see, how do I make it? Let's just zoom this in a little bit. So up here you see like the version number 1.0.2, and then you got the +8. The +8 is like the build number. So that's the one. This is the version number, and that's the build number. It's easy, but you have to do it here in the pubspec.yaml. Otherwise, it'll just get overwritten. And I hope that's what you're talking about. Let's see. Baraka, happy Monday, Bart. How's it going? Let's see. Ravi says, man, the subs are not showing up. What's wrong? I think a few weeks ago, I put into the Discord server, hey, everybody, I'm about to do the live stream. And then that's when I got all these thumbs down. And so I thought, maybe that was kind of annoying to them. So I don't know. Yeah, we show up. If we show up, we show up. We're just hanging. Dude, we're just hanging, right? This is more of a get-together than a party. This is just like, we're just chilling out. If nobody shows up, that's fine. It would be cool. I really appreciate that you guys are here, though. Mega Man 2016 says, happy Friday. Happy Friday. Or Monday. Dude, I didn't even catch that. Yes, happy Monday. So, what do we want to talk about today? So, yeah, like I said, today I've been working on a scheduled task for a client application which sends off notifications to every, I don't want to say what the application does specifically, but it's kind of thing where you're supposed to query Firestore and get a bunch of users who need to be notified of something and then send off a push notification in an email. The code is easy. It's just the testing is a lot more difficult. So I'm doing all this kind of writing to log files and just making sure that the query's right, doing all this stuff. And, and also you do that thing where you just you sort of tweak it a little bit. So you just send yourself all these emails, just make sure that looks okay. And then, get to the point where we can put that thing live, which I'm going to do that at the end of the week. I'm going to let my test stuff go for the rest of the week. But it's funny when you get that kind of stuff, you're just like, okay, I hope this works. Everything should work. Everything should go. Because even though you have your testing environment, you can do everything, but you just, you have most of the time in a testing environment, you have a small subset of users. Or if you have a SQL-based database, well, actually, my whole thing was if I was going to do testing on a dev or staging site, it would be to take the production database, move it to staging. Depends on who's working on it. There's security things there too. But if this is possible, take the production environment, move it to staging, change all the email addresses, change all the names, just do all that kind of stuff so you could be messing around with as close to live data as possible. Now, one of the things I really find difficult with Firestore is it's difficult to export, to back up and re-import the data. There's no equivalent of MySQL dump. Even Firebase real-time database was easy to export it out and then import it back in. But with Firestore, you have to either write some code or you have to go through this whole Google Cloud thing, which I was going through. I was following all these tutorials under Google Cloud, and then I had this Google Cloud Engine thing going in the background, and I wanted Firestore as actual in the Firebase console and everything like that. So let's see. So let's see. Oh yeah, Mega Man special like. Thank you very much. Captain Michael J2. Hey, Captain Michael says, hey, how are you? I'm doing really good. It's really, oh God, the weather here is beautiful. Finding it difficult to, coming back from a short holiday, I'm finding it difficult to get some work done. But I've been sitting at the desk all day today, so it's been pretty good. Ravi says, what's your thoughts on Redux in the Flutter app? I have not used it. It's I don't know very much about it, to be honest with you. I haven't really used it because I haven't used any of that kind of stuff in any of the other applications. So is it worth looking into? What problems does it solve for you? Jettis TM, hey Jettis says, Eric, what do you think is the most difficult a part of creating a social media app. Dude, the most difficult part, I think it would be just getting people into it, right? Because if you look, I mean, because you could say it's scaling it or whatever. You need to have scale, but you're thinking way ahead of it. Like if you don't have 5 users, then you don't have an application, right? Social media is I mean, any kind of app that's based on a network, the danger is you're going to get people coming into the application and they're the only ones there, right? It's like, if they come in and they're the only ones there, then it's a worthless application. Or if they have a small user group. So you have to think about like the advertising budget and just getting that in front of people. If you look at like Twitter, when Twitter started, it was built on Ruby on Rails. I think it might still be, but they had huge scaling problems to begin with because of the way they designed it. But they can fix those as they go. So like my whole thing has always been, and I've been, I've had this conversation with clients before where they're like, how many concurrent users can we have? And I was like, well, I don't know. Like, it's like, well, we should be able to have, a few thousand. I go, well, what if we have 10 million at one time? I'm like, well, I don't know. It's like, the thing is, I suppose we could run some tests to do all that kind of stuff, but you'll probably need more servers and you'll probably need, and it's like, they're thinking too far ahead on this kind of stuff. You want the whole thing with the social media apps, you need to get people into it. And, and you need to make sure that ideally they're there at the same time. And if you look at like the way Facebook started, they started at one campus and then they went to another campus. It was like a small location. I've had people that have come to me for help. Come for me for help, just like, the consultancy thing and advice. Like someone would be like, it'd be like, again, I'm trying to like obfuscate it a little bit, but like something where you have a contractor and you have somebody looking for the contractor all on the same application. And they released it globally. So like if I go on there and I'm looking for like a plumber, then the nearest plumber is in France, then it's not going to be very useful to me. And if the plumber goes on there and puts a profile on there and maybe pays to do a profile, and there's no users nearby, then he's going to stop using it too. So you have to think about that to begin with, because you've got all those people. Like, it's a network-based application is only as useful as all the stuff coming in there. Like that's why I've never really considered doing something like that. Another one I've never really thought about doing. A lot of my apps are like, they're not really content driven. So I'll have stuff that's like it's got to be algorithmically content driven. Like maybe it feeds from something or something like that. But like I've had clients also say stuff like they'll write an article every day, or they'll do all kinds of all this manual stuff, which sounds great if you have like 10,000 users. But if you have like 3 users, you're only going to go as long as you get bored, and then you got this thing sitting out there that never gets updated. If that makes sense. Sometimes I'm just that's my thoughts on it. Merrick says, hey, how does Admob App Gallery Huawei phones without GMS? Thanks. I don't know. Does anybody else know the answer to that question? Because I know that I've used Admob on like Amazon and it seemed to work okay, but I'm not sure about that one. Let's see. Leonardo Leo says, do you think it's a good idea to advertise paid apps with Google Ads? Advertise a paid to download app with Google Ads. Yeah, I do. I think it's probably better if you could do it with Facebook, because then you know your exact target audience. I've talked to lots of people who've done that. In fact, I had a pretty good success with that too before my my spy app got removed. Sorry, I'm just gonna turn off. Dude, I've got this like subliminal thing that goes off sometimes. I read about it ages ago, so sometimes I share my screen, I'd forget I have it on there, and like my kids will be looking at it, going, it just said whatever, you're the best, or something stupid like that. Anyway, so I just turn it off. So yeah, definitely, because if you can, the whole problem with doing advertisements for your ads is like you're thinking about the cost per acquisition. So if your cost per acquisition of a user is $1 or £1 or whatever, then and you make, based on advertising, you make maybe 3 or 4 cents from that user, obviously it's not sustainable. Like that will only work in terms of like you get your download numbers up. However, if you sell your app for £5 and your cost per install is whatever, if cost per install is £1 or £3 or even £4.50, it's sustainable and you can go forward with that, right? And it's But my whole thing with using the Google ads is that Google ads are based on search, and if somebody's searching for it, you're going to be right there with all those other applications of the same type. And if you do something like a Facebook ad where you're actually just it's not search marketing, it's interruption marketing. It's like they didn't even know they needed that, but you've got like a, hey, you need, yeah, have you ever thought about this? Then you bypass all the competition and you're the one who puts it out in front of them. I bought things on like Facebook and Instagram that way because it was just, it was there, right? It's like they advertise really well, but it, again, like I said, if you charge for it, and I've talked to people who don't even have free versions of their applications, and they've been able to do that. So let's see. Captain Michael says, I've been working my first iOS app for a long time as a self-taught programmer. Due to the slow progress, I feel like outsourcing it to somebody else. Dude, I did the same thing. But I think I should build the first version mostly by myself to have strong ownership. What do you think? Yeah, I do. I do think so. Because what I did the same kind of thing where I was like, my first application, I just thought I'm going to do it myself. And, I suppose it was like a good learning experience, but I was the same. It's easier when you're paying it's easier to get to that finish point, because when you're paying for something, your mentality is different. Like when I was doing it myself, it was like I wasn't thinking about the time that I was putting into it. I was thinking like, I wasn't monetizing it, right? I was thinking more like, okay, well, I'll just, it'll be done soon. I didn't have a deadline. I didn't have like whatever. It was just like, okay, and I have a new idea and I'll put that in there. And then, and maybe I'll have something that's half finished because, whatever, it's dinner time or somebody needs to get driven somewhere or whatever, like something comes up, right? And you just, your attention goes from that to something else and you don't have that time to focus. But at the same time, when you're paying for it, then it's like, dude, we need this thing to go live. And they're like, oh, we need another day. We need another week. It's like, no. Look, time is money. We need to get this thing live. We need to get this thing out there, right? And I've been a strong proponent of the fact that you get something out there and test the market as soon as possible. But I totally get it. Like, I've also had the problem where I've got like an application that's doing pretty well, and the code looks awful. The code is like so unmaintainable, and I spend a lot of time going through there and tweaking that and that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, if you're making progress, I think the whole thing is to think about it like not as the developer, thinking about it, put your manager hat on and just really ride yourself hard to get that thing done, because the longer you spend working on it is the less time you're making money from it, and not even just finding out like how it's gonna do, like, cause there's so much more that you have to do too. You have to think about how you're gonna get people to find it, how you're gonna get it like how you get in front of the right people, like, are you going to advertise it, that kind of stuff, and all that stuff. I mean, you can be thinking about it along the way, but I would, try to get that first prototype out as quick as possible. I have nothing but respect for people who do everything themselves, and I've done quite a lot of applications myself. I mean, don't get me wrong, but my first one was like, I kind of, went with a company that they did it really cheap, and it was like, and it showed. It was really bad. I mean, it was really kind of, really bad. And even now when I go through and like, there's still legacy code when I look at it, it's like, oh. But, and then you also have the doubt, like, because you've given it to somebody else, if it is successful, I mean, what's going to stop them from releasing it as their own or something like that too? So I totally get it, but like, just think about the time that you're spending on it, like, because it's so easy to like forget that. Let's see. Patrick says, I have used Redux and it's the same, and it's the only state management pattern that makes sense to me. If you use one of the others, then set state. I'm using Provider. Yeah, Provider. That's right? Yeah, I'm using Provider with Firebase. So my state management has been okay. I think the use for state Redux for global state management. What do you use for that? Yeah, I use the Provider. What is it? It's a state provider. Yeah, what do I use? I have it right up here. Let's see. Provider. Yeah, I just use provider, and if it's like, and I know it's probably not. Let's see. I just have been using the provider package, where you set the, you set your, on what I do in the app roots is that I'll put my state provider in there, and then I can access it through the view as I go. And because I'm doing it at the global level, I still get the instant updates with the Firestore updates. But I haven't used Redux, and I wonder if Redux is better. Unless I'm talking about something completely different. Tubers Technology says, Eric, did you understand the multiple span account policy by Google Play? No. No, I don't. No, I haven't. I haven't got an email about that or anything. Is that? No, yeah, sorry, Tubers. I don't know. I don't know very much about that. Let's see. Redux for global state management. Set state for local transient state is irrelevant to application state. Yeah, I mean, I try to use the stateful widgets as seldom as possible, and just kind of do it like at the top of the widget tree. But yeah, I wonder. So let me just do a quick. Let's see. If we do Redux versus provider, pros and cons of proper state management tools, set state, scoped model and provider, Flutter block. Block is the one that seemed really complicated to me. And then Redux. I'll have a look at that. Let's see. Mr. Mercer says, hello, I'm a beginning Android developer. Is it worth it to publish an app on Play Store, or should I do freelancing for money? I think you should put an app on the Play Store, right? There's so much, like, this is another thing where I talk about the first developers I hired, like Captain Michael, is like, when I hired my first developer, like, they didn't know how to publish to the Play Store. They had no idea, and it was kind of thing where, like, oh no, like the company that I hired, and they were really, really cheap. They're like, oh no, we got these experts. Everybody's an expert. And then when we go live, they're like, they took them days. They couldn't figure out how anything worked. It's like, so that's part of it. Mr. Mercer is like, you'll learn. Don't be that guy who's never published anything. At least you get something out there. You will learn a lot more in publishing something. You'll learn about how to I mean, how many of you guys have been like, you get to the point where you have to sign the application, you're like, dude, why is this so hard? Like, you have to sign the application and upload it to the Play Store and fill in all the little bits of information that they need, and then it's, once you get it done, then like, if you're doing freelance client work, what to ask client for. Like, you could ask at the beginning, say, okay, I'm going to need a title, a short description, a long description, a category. Here's the list of categories you could choose from. I'm going to need some screenshots or whatever, like, unless you want me to do them yourselves. I'm going to need whatever, all this kind of stuff, and because you'll have that, that part is, I find that part surprisingly complicated to do that, just to get something live on the Play Store and the App Store. And also because it's your own application, you got to start thinking about how do you market it, how do you get there, how do you get things out there. In fact, the first application that the other team did, they didn't really ask me anything. They chose their own keywords in iOS and in the App Store, iTunes Connect. They chose their own keywords. They did all this kind of stuff, and so you'll learn a lot more by doing it yourself. At least get something out there. Because, I mean, you're asking to be like, how can you be a freelancer? Like, if you're going to be a freelancer, then you should have at least some experience. And, I think the best way to get at least to start getting experience. If no one's going to hire you and you do it yourself, then you'll get some experience doing it yourself. Let's see. Rachel said, just to check, you never need to update build.gradle app src when you update. It depends. Some plugins do. Some plugins, like if you add a plugin, sometimes they'll say like, add this to build.gradle or add this to info.plist. Like sometimes they'll say stuff like that. But yeah, for the most part, you shouldn't have to do that for that. I struggled with that. Like when I published my first update, was like, oh my god, it's not updating the, I kept doing a thing where I was doing Flutter build production and then like getting the APK or the AAB file. I tried to do it as an app bundle, so like I couldn't even I'd do it as an APK so I could test it, and then I'd do the AAB so I could upload it. And then I'd upload it and say, oh, you got the wrong version number. I said, okay, so let me change it again. And I realized it kept changing. Like the first 2 times, I'm realizing, I'm sure I changed that. And then like after a while, I was like, oh, it's overwriting it. And then I had to like find that way. But see, I've been updating Flutter version code and Flutter version name, thinking it was where you do the update rather than the pubspec.yaml. Yeah, I know. It's like, try the pubspec.yaml, Rachel, and that should work. Smash Highlight said, have you tried utilizing machine learning in an app, perhaps using Firebase ML? I recently tried with an app which identifies plants and was amazed how good it is. And I really like Provider. I've always wanted to. That sounds like a really cool project. But when I was trying to learn, like it was a few years ago, I was trying to learn like TensorFlow, and it was like, watch all those what was that guy? I can't remember his I can't remember his name. But he, the guy with all the image, the image categorization videos, like, and it turns out he was like, not all that there, but I'm kind of curious about. I would like to try at least with some of the out of the box ones that Firebase Firebase ML does. Like, what does it do? It does like image recognition and speech recognition and barcode scanner, and barcode scanner was one, like, I thought we already had that. It was stuff like that. I would like to play around with it. I just haven't done yet. But no, it was cool. I mean, are you like a genius, Smash Highlights, or did you find it easier than you thought it was going to be? Let's see. Mega, let's all go back to ASP view state. Oh God, I hated ASP view state. Like, you try to do something clever, like I want to like I'm looking at the HTML and I'm thinking, oh, I'll just latch on to something there, and it got all that view state stuff. Ugh. Silvio, hey Silvio, how's it going? Says Eric, hi Eric, happy Monday. A couple of tips to catch clients for my mobile development agency. I would say, let's have a look at your website. Let's do that. Let's start there. Although it's unlikely people are just going to like stumble across your website, but that's the first thing they're going to see if they reach out to you. So we can have a look at that. Let's see. I think what I really like using is, depending on how specialized you are, if you use like LinkedIn Sales Navigator or something like that, like if you're doing something for like a specific industry or something like that. If you just like do anything, then you could do Upwork. I'm not a big fan of going through Upwork. I'd rather you build up like a good portfolio, and because either people are going to find you or you have to go find them. And in the beginning, you're going to have to go find them. So like LinkedIn Sales Navigator works really well. Let's see. Tubers Technologies, Eric, your account is suspended. How did you open your new console? You got this. It was suspended. It's not suspended at the moment. It like last year. It was before lockdown. It was like February-ish, where one of my apps was removed, and I think it was because it was a Spanish Spanish language app, and I think because it was Spanish or for some reason they locked it down because they said it was like sensitive category, something like that, and I was like, and that locked down my whole account got suspended, and I appealed it. And luckily that one they did reinstate the whole account, but I still have a few applications that are suspended. But yeah, so I did get that back. Always appeal. Always like, if there's one thing Tubers Technologies is like, because I've done this where I had an app suspended and I appealed it and they rejected the appeal, and I felt sorry for myself for like a week, and then somebody said, well, why don't you just appeal again? So I appealed again, and then like there's times where I've appealed it like 3 times, right? And it's always, don't make it about you, don't make it about how it's unfair, don't make it about that. Just say like, we have lots of users who would really like to use this application. I would like, whatever, I like to reconsider it. Don't point out anybody else who's, doing the same thing, because that's not going to make a difference. Just say like, we have lots of users, they really depend on this application, and, because it's not about them, it's not about you, it's about the users. Let's see, Ravi says, Ravi says, yo, Eric, yo, Ravi, why have you not published your EarSpy app again with a different name? I know it would have been easy. I think I do have the pro version of it. Like I changed the name to Ear Assist. I wanted to. One of the things that it had behind it was the snowball effect of it had like tens of thousands of reviews and millions of downloads and everything like that. And I had like another one which had a different name and a different package ID, and I think I just unpublished that one at some point. I left the pro version because I thought the pro version at least could make some revenue, and that one's still live. Like the EarSpy Pro is not live anymore. I mean, it is on iOS, and badly in need of an update. But it's I still have the Ear Assist Pro on Google Play, and that still brings a bit of revenue. But yeah, that was like when my whole thing was like, if you get a bit of momentum and you get people finding it, and you've got backlinks all over the place, and you've got all this stuff going on, and they say we're going to suspend you, and we're going to be really vague about why we're suspending you. But if you think that you fixed it, then you can release it under a different package name. You're like, well, so you can suspend me again? Like, it's like, so that's why I kept appealing it, because first of all, you've got all that momentum, you've got all those downloads, you got those good ranking and everything like that. I mean, when my app was suspended and it was reinstated, it went right back up to the top because that's so much behind it. So Sylvia says, hey, Eric, happy Monday. A couple of tips for catch concert mobile. We already answered that one, didn't we? Have I lost track? Oh, no, you asked it twice. Okay. Biswajit. Hey, everybody. Hey, Biswajit. Let's see. Sure, go back to view state. Having 1 megabyte post data was great for performance. Yes. Okay, yes. Or, you should just put everything as a global variable. Let's do that. That was at my first application, my first VB application. Like I was working in this investment bank, and they kept giving me like access reports to write, and I kept saying I want to do development, and which was kind of like the fact that I got the opportunity at all was like amazing. But I was like, I want to get in development. So in the end, I went and I kind of like found my own client like within the company, and I had this weird situation where they said, oh, go talk to they kind of need some work. You go talk to them, whatever. And I convinced them they needed a desktop application. And so I kind of like talked to them, and we get a server done, and we had a new manager come in, and he's like, what is this project? I'm like, well, we're doing it for this. Well, who agreed to that? Who did this? I'm like, whatever the last guy did. And it became this like thing where I had this desktop application, and eventually it was taken away from me because, but we need you to write these access reports. And later on I went back to it. But when I was doing it, like everything was like, because state management is so important in software development, like just knowing the scope of the variable, that I put like everything at like global. I mean, dude, who needs all this? Who needs all this complexity? I'll just put all the variables at global level. It was nasty. Oh God, it was like, you know, every time you go to a new form, I would just go through and every variable I would like clear it down and then start again and say it was just ew. So but yes, you're right. Let's see. Carol Levine says, Overpass apps, is it worth learning UI design for Android, iOS by my own, or is it smarter to invest in a Fiverr freelancer? I, I when it comes to UI UX, I don't know. I think you learn a lot by just looking around. I'm not, you know, I'm wondering how much there is to learn. Like for me, I would go to freelancer for a designer. So like if we have an application where let's say we have an application that has let's say we have the hamburger menu and the side menu and we have icons next to all those. Using something like Font Awesome is cool because you got like so much to choose from. There's lots of like open source stuff, but like stuff like if you have like a button and you need an image on it, like just or like an icon, like or the icon for the application, like that's really good to get a designer for, I think. But my whole thing as a developer is I never wanted like a design like I don't know, like okay, this sounds really petty, but I don't want some UI guy coming in here and trying to tell me how like I've got a bit of chops. Like I can figure out how an application should be laid out. I've worked with other developers I know in the past who were like they were just very much focused on the code. Like they were just like everything was it didn't quite make sense. Like it didn't flow right. But there's a lot of good books on this stuff. There was one called Don't Make Me Think by Krug. It was web based, but it was kind of like that whole, an application should not need a manual. That was a thing that the developers used to say back in my day. They say RTFM, read the effing manual, and and we'd write these long manuals for the software and stuff like that, and nobody ever reads it. Nobody ever so it should be easy to understand, and I think a lot of that just comes from experience. What do the rest of you guys think about that? I mean, having said that, have I ever actually worked with like a actual UI guy? I've worked with designers, and they come away and they'll think of some how things should look and how they should work, and then I look at that thinking, okay, how would we translate that into code, or how would we slice up the images that we need to do in order to do that? But for me, it's kind of things just kind of make sense a certain way. But let's see. Ogas, hey, how's it going? It says, what's your opinion about mobile app marketing and ASO? Would you personally prefer a freelancer or a professional to do the job, or you work on it yourself? Okay, so this is one like I've hired I haven't hired any ASO people, but I've hired an SEO person, and again, it gets to the point where there's only so much they can do without telling you like to make changes to the application, and that's something that bothers me. I hired an SEO company, and they go away and they come back saying, okay, you should put a button up here that says inquiries, and you should have like a button over here that says this. Instead of this, you should say that, whatever. And I was like, wait, so I'm doing all this work? Like it was like kind of a I think you will learn more about it. It's your application. You're passionate about it. You're the one who's gonna figure out how it works. I mean, it's if you honestly, it's not like I honestly don't think it's like it's not like they have a law degree. They go out, they're looking for different keywords and how people find stuff like that. And you could probably learn how all that kind of stuff works. And what people are searching for years. I have hired people to release my app in China. So I hired somebody, and they came back with a new icon idea, and it was like they totally didn't get the app. They were just like, they're basically what they were doing was looking at everything else that was popular and say, do more like that. And I'm like, I don't want to do like that. That's they're not popular because they're popular for other reasons rather than their icon design and stuff like that. But so I've always been the case where I do it myself, just because I know the application, I know my audience, I know all that kind of stuff, and but like I said, if as anybody else out there hired somebody and you're like, dude, that really worked out well for me, because you watch a few videos or you learn how some of these tools work, then you could probably do them do them yourself. Patrick says, we all did that global variable thing at first. No shame. I know. It's like, it's when you look back at it, it's like, you know, it's kind of like just knowing the scope of a variable is like, you know, I remember thinking, I was like, I remember I hired a guy. I had this idea that I would just I would hire somebody and teach them how to just code. I would give them some courses. They could, you know, I kind of thought they would do like I did. They would get up to speed, and then they would, like, you know, whatever. And they would, but he couldn't understand why you would use functions. Like, it was like kind of thing. Like, it was all one big spaghetti code. I was like, well, you should probably put these into functions. And I was like, he said, like, what's a function? I was like, did you watch? Like, he stopped watching the course because he could build something, and then he just pushed everything else aside, and he didn't understand why you would use a function. And I was like, dude, that's like that's like one of the main, you know, building blocks of stuff. So, and even then, when you get to the point where, like, even like, so some things work, but like they just bother you. Like, if you ever see something that doesn't have a separation of concerns, you're like, oh, like, I just don't, you know, I just don't like that. But yeah, but it's working. I was like, yeah, but it's like, you know, it's just, you know, you start coming up with like, and you start coming up with scenarios like, what if you had to like attach something else to that, and then you had to use that somewhere else? Yeah, but I'm not. I mean, yeah, but, you know, just, God, it's just, just, I don't know. Kara says, got it, thanks. Cool. What's the size of an app in a clock? In clock you have developed? What's the size of the app in clock you have developed? I don't know what that is. Sorry about that. Miss Bahur. Let's see. Nathish Kumar, what's your impression rate and match rate in Admob? You're not allowed to like divulge that. Like, you can't say what your RPMs are or anything like that. Let me have a look. Let me just move this, because it's like my match rate is not, I mean, you should always be loading an ad in the background, even if you're not going to show it, just so you have it ready to show. So sometimes you'll have, like, your impression rate will be lower than your request rate. At least it should be lower than your request rate. I'll just have a look. I'm just having a look at it here. Off on another screen. Let's see. So look at, like, today. So my match rate today is like 75, or like last 7 days. 75%. So I think that one of the reasons why they don't want you to share that is because, you know, I mean, imagine if you were going to say something like, whatever, so-and-so gets this match rate, but I get the other match rate, because I'm sure they want to keep all that stuff secret. I bet, like, the more popular applications get better stuff. So, okay, same ones. Okay, performance versus clean code. Which team are you on? Clean code. Yeah, I mean, I've had people like, I've had people make the case that this is way back in the ASP days, where, like, there was like an article that came out on the MSDN website saying, like, if you like in ASP, classic ASP, if you escape into HTML using the whatever parentheses, angle brackets, and you would escape into ASP, like, they would say if you just do response.write, it was like faster, but it wasn't that much faster, right? And when you looked at it, you had no at the time in Visual Studio, Visual Interdev, you had no code. You couldn't read the code, right? It was like supposedly faster, but it was unreadable, and that was like, so, like, the one person worked on it, like, nobody else would be able to work on it. So that was like a thing. So I would much rather be in the clean code camp, unless it's like a huge performance hit that it takes. But most of the time you need those. You need the comments. You need everything to be clean and testable and all that kind of stuff. So otherwise you are stuck with it. Like, you are. If you write something that only you can maintain, then you're stuck with it. You might think you have job security, but then, like, you'll never be able to move on. Thanks for the answer. Wash hands. Oh. Harish says, what's your take on people saying consulting model is dead? Go for a recurring model of building digital products, blah, blah. I don't know. I think there's way too many consultants. And I read a book about this. There was a book called Going It Alone by Jeff Birch, I think his name was. And he talked about how lots of people, when they quit their jobs, they'll say, what do you want to do? And they say, I'll be a consultant. So there's a lot of consultants that don't have any skills, I guess what I should say. Like, and there's like, I was talking about doing the SEO stuff, like hiring somebody who comes to me like with their, because they're so brainy. Right? Thinking, look, I can figure this stuff out. Like, can you code? Like it's, so that's, it's kind of that I'm selling my expertise on stuff, which I don't really like. I don't really like the idea of. I do some consultancy, and then when I talk about, like, I kind of distinguish between consultant and contracting, because you're contracting, you're there, you're doing the job, like you're actually, you're there to help out, but at the same time you're doing the job, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Like you can do, and you're not like, oh well, you're all academic saying, well, actually, I just. So I totally get that. However, I mean, it's still possible to be a consultant, but like my whole thing is, okay, this is something I get from time to time. I want to market my app. Can I hire you to market my app for me? And I'm like, I'd always say no. I mean, I've never done it, because I'm like, I can't guarantee success. Like I would feel bad about taking, it's like there's a lot of work involved, and there's like a lot of like little things, and you try things and say, let me try this and test it, try something else and test it, try something else and test it. And sometimes you have to change the application too. And it's like, it's that I don't understand how somebody could charge for something when they can't guarantee results. Whereas if you're actually contracting, you are delivering results, right? You're actually producing something and giving it to them. That's like way different. And when it comes to building digital products, I think that's good, unless we get into a digital product, which is a course, which is basically goes back to the consulting thing, which is I can't guarantee results, but I'll tell you how brilliant I am, and that's something that I'm just don't do. Like if you build a digital product that actually does something, then I think that I don't mind that one. Kilo lines of code. Oh, kilo lines of code. Is that what that means? 1,000 lines of code. What size of an app in kilo lines of code have you developed? I don't know. I've never counted them. I've never counted them. That's really weird. Celtic Whispers. Happy WWCC. Oh, yeah. And Celtic Whispers, I have to return your email. Sorry about that. I haven't done it yet. Let's see. Which is the best backend for mobile? Well, it's subjective, but I like Firebase. I still like Firebase. I still, I like the fact that everything is there. I don't need to go anywhere else. It's but I've also used, a lot of people like AWS, a lot of people like Azure, a lot of people like Heroku. But I like Firebase myself. That's my, let's see. And Rohit says, hey, Eric, my developer used live ads instead of test ads while testing the app. Because of that, the ad traffic quality was not good. Admob saw it as fraud and put ad serving limit on my account. Oh, God. Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry about that. That's like, Well, hopefully they'll move it soon. I mean, try to appeal it or whatever, if you can. I mean, or maybe even put in some like some mediation, so you put in another ad network. So just to see, at least you have something like when it does get limited. Hey, everybody, like WWDC is going to start in like 5 minutes. So we're going to wrap up the live stream now. Really appreciate you guys joining today. And if you're on the Discord server, we might have a little chat about that later on, like what they're talking about in the WWDC. But I've got this appointment at 7 o'clock I'm going to run off to. But thanks very much for joining the live stream this week. I hope you stay healthy. Hope you stay safe. And we'll talk. Let's talk. Hey, you know what? Let's do this again next week. I'll talk to you guys then. Talk to you later. Bye.